decide if that looks weird. It looked up like it was really high. I don't know why. All right, well, how are you doing? We are in day 4 of this challenge. I don't even understand how that happened. And I kind of forgot about it this morning. And I was like, oh, right, we're doing a challenge. And it's so funny how we can wake up in other people's realities and other people's an awareness of like the space that other people in your world are functioning from, or in a space of how the world is functioning. I have this a lot where I would sort of wake up with this anxiety, and then I have to like take a minute and be like, okay, that's not mine. What's my reality? All of life comes to me with ease, joy, and glory. And then I can start my day. But sometimes it takes a couple minutes to kind of like, look around my space, feel my hands on my body, and be like, okay, where am I? Who am I? What am I right now? And where am I? Wherever I was in my dreams or in sleep time, like come back to now. And maybe you know what I'm talking about. I've had a lot of people lately say like, I'll be doing great. I'll go to bed. I had a good day, and I'll wake up in such a funk. And we talk about like, okay, like, is that yours? Or what are you aware of when you're sleeping? And then when you come back into waking life, how can you come back and be here with your reality and having your choice with whatever you'd like your life to be, your day to be, etc. So anywhere that reads for you, and anywhere you're going into other people's realities with money and plagiarizing other people's realities with money, you revoke or can't rescind, reclaim, renounce, denounce, destroy, and uncreate it. On good, bad, pop, fuck, all 9 shorts, boys, povats, and beyonds. All right, so first of all, in the last 24 hours, I have had a lot of people reach out to me, like individually, and tell me. One lady said she made $4,000 that just like showed up by magic in her account. And she didn't give me all the details, but that's what I know. Somebody else told me that they actualized a refrigerator thing that they were asking for, and they were looking at buying, and somebody gifted it to them. Somebody else told me that they got a ton of new clients this week. I've had a lot of people say that stuff is showing up. And if that's not you, and you're going into the story of why it works for other people and not you, we destroy and uncreate that. We're on good, bad, padlock, all 9 shorts, boys, povats, and beyonds. And we talked before about acknowledging you and acknowledging every little bit that has shown up in your world, and being grateful for it and asking for more of that to come and play and show up as if by magic. And it's really cool when people start acknowledging like even the little bits that start to show up, and really doing things for the joy of them and for the play of it. One of the things that I'm getting is really different about this challenge than other things I've maybe done, not necessarily in Access, but in anything, is this like intensity of I must create the money, it's like the story and the intensity and the significance and the meaning on like, oh my God, I have to create this thing. And it's like really intense. And what's really cool here is that it's not. This is for fun. This is for play. This is for something you'd like to have, not something that is where you're super vested in the outcome. And that's one of the greatest gifts here, is you get to see where things can show up when you're not doing intensity, when you're not doing story, when you're not doing form, structure, and significance with it, and you're just willing to play. I was reading Getting Out of Debt Joyfully yesterday a little bit, and one of the things that caught me, as Simone said, when you're doing things for the joy of them, when you're doing things because they create a level of enthusiasm and excitement in your world, the money follows. And obviously I talk about this all the time, but I heard it differently. She said, when you're not doing it for the money, that is when the money shows up. And it's not necessarily one of those things that you could cognitively be like, okay, we'll not do this for the money. We'll secretly doing it for the money. It's more the energy of like, wow, what would be fun for me? So one of the things she suggests in that book is to make a list of all the things that bring you joy. And start there. And then go back through and look at like, okay, and are any of these things that I could create some kind of a revenue stream with? And there might be, you might look at all of it and be like, no. Or the most obvious thing is like, yeah, I don't want to do that. So she was talking about her friend who loves to drive, but her friend was like, I don't want to be a taxi driver, or I mean, this was written a while ago. I would say I don't want to drive for Uber or Lyft, or like that wasn't what she wanted. And so she's like, but I do like to drive. And so Simone was like, well, I wonder what can show up. And ultimately, this lady ended up like taking people to and from the airport that were like friends that were willing to pay her because they didn't want to drive themselves or, you know, pay for a limo or a taxi or whatever else. But it was more fun for her because they were people that she knew and cared about, and they were also willing to pay her. So anywhere that you go into conclusion of this is fun for me, but I don't want to do it like this, can we destroy it and create it? Whew, on Good Bad Podpoc, all 9 shorts, boys, povets, and beyonds. So where is it that you get stuck in story? And that's one of the things I wanted to look at today, because what most of us do is we get to day 4 of a challenge like this and we're like, well, so that person created that, this other person created that, but like I can't do that because. And anytime we use the word because, we're going into the story. And so when you catch yourself doing that, you hear the word because come out of your mouth, or something that looks like that or has that energy, be like, all right, cool. Everywhere I'm doing story with this, I destroy and uncreate it. Right, wrong, good, bad, podpoc, all 9 shorts, boys, povets, and beyonds. What if you were willing to choose beyond the story of why you've decided you can't do something, that you can't have something? And anywhere that you start to judge you for not creating the way that other people create, so you start to be like, oh, well, she could do this, or like, I can't do that like that because I don't create like that. My mind doesn't work like that. You cut off receiving and the possibilities that are available for you. I had a new client yesterday, and she's an amazing X-Men. I don't know that she's acknowledged that. And has worked with like the most difficult kids to work with in this reality, right? The behavior kids, the kids on this like severe autism spectrum, the kids who are really struggling. And she's really good at it, and she can go into their world and perceive what is required and how to create a connection in the kids that other people have said are not connectable to. And in the school system she's been working in, she's been made really wrong for that, because they want her to do things in a very rubriced way, and that doesn't actually work for these kids. And so she's, you know, coming to me obviously in a conundrum of what do I do now? But one of the things I said to her is have you acknowledged how different you are? And you're not wrong. You're actually creating something very different in the world. And not everybody gets it. And not everybody is going to understand it. And people are going to make you wrong for it. And what if you didn't make you wrong for it? And what if you didn't judge you? And you got to be total interesting point of view with every choice you've ever made and everything that's possible for you now. And if you haven't heard about interesting point of view before, what I mean by that is being in total allowance. So every judgment is just interesting. It's just an interesting point of view. So every time you're like, man, I'm just bad with money. Interesting point of view. I have this point of view. You can say it because it changes the energy and it moves it when you're willing to be allowance. So allowance is like being the rock in the stream. So you are the rock, water moves up and around, you know, you don't move, and it just kind of goes all around, and you are stable, steady, and being from a space of being and not proving. The rock in the stream doesn't have to prove their point to anybody. It doesn't have to align and agree that the water should be washing it away. And it doesn't have to resist and react and be like, I will be rock, I will sit. It's just be. It just is. And that is being an allowance. And what if you can be that for everything, every judgment that comes at you, but also at the judgments that you project at yourself. And when you feel that come up, you're aware of it, catch it and be like, okay, cool. What if this was just interesting? Just because I have a thought does not make it real and true. Your thoughts, feelings, and emotions don't belong to you anyways. So who does this belong to? And what if all of this was just interesting? And when you be that with money, it creates a lot more space and ease and joy, because money is one of those things that we go into the biggest resistance and reaction with, because it like creates all this in our world, and we're like, I'm gonna resist and react to everything that comes up around money. I don't want money, I can't have money, it's not fun to have money, like all these lies you tell yourself, right? You know, Dane always talks about that, like they'd be driving down the road and he had like ants in the car, and they were like, he said there was some like Mercedes convertible drove by, and Dane was like, oh, that's such a cool car, and his aunts were like, well, those people aren't happy, and Dane was like, based on what? But like you hear all the resistance and the reaction in that of the reason and justification for why they didn't have that, couldn't have that, and why they didn't want that, right? Because they had decided it was outside of what was possible for them. Whew. So everything that brings up and everything that you've decided is not possible for you with money, will you destroy it and create it? Right, wrong, good, bad, POD, POC, all nine shorts, boys, po-bads, and beyonds. There's a lot in this today. It's a lot of energies. A lot around getting out of your story. So catch yourself. Anytime you get into story with money, anytime you're doing judgment of you or anyone else, or you're aware of projection of judgment at you, be interesting point of view. And truly, you can say to yourself, interesting point of view, I have this point of view. Or interesting point of view, they have this point of view. And it's just an interesting point of view. And it doesn't mean anything. And that's the thing, is like when we come out of this meaning thing with money and we make it really significant, that's when it comes to dance and play and be. And you get to have way more of you, which is like this joy thing we're talking about, right? So along with creating the money this week, I hope you're also doing the thing every day, that's something that brings you joy. Yesterday, Amy Shine did a Dance to Oneness, like free, ecstatic dance thing, in like before she starts her like 7 days honoring you, something, right? And I wasn't able to be on live, but I listened to it last night and I danced around my kitchen, and it was such a gift. And it was so much fun, and everybody was like upstairs playing video games, getting ready for bed, and I was dancing in my kitchen. So, and it was so much fun, and it brought me so much joy. So what is it for you that you could choose today? And every day it might be different. I think I've done something random and different every day this week for joy. So don't be like, oh, this is the thing that brings me joy. Every day, just ask, what can I do today that would bring me joy, that would be so much fun for me, that money wouldn't even be in, like, you can include money in it, but it's not about that. It's about having fun and joy in your life. Whew. So the next thing to look at, of course, is that tomorrow's day 5. So what, as far as making money, have you not looked at yet? What have you not been willing to do yet? So you made your list of things you could do. Maybe you've done 1 or 2 of them. Maybe you put some of them off till tomorrow. Maybe you said like, oh, I don't have time for that right now, but I'll get to it. So what are some of those things that you're like, oh, where would create the money, but you haven't chosen yet? And would you be willing to choose them today so that you can create all the money that you're asking for whatever thing you're asking to create money for? And anywhere that you are like, oh, I'll do this again later when I really need the money, and you're not willing to be present with it this week, we just try and create that. Right, wrong, good, bad, POD, POC, all name shorts, boys, po-bads, and beyonds. And what would it create if you were like, no, I'm making this demand of me from interesting point of view, not from form, structure, and significance, not from judgment, but truly from what can I create today? If I was creating my life today and was asking for this money to show up for the thing I'm creating, what choices can I make today that I wasn't willing to make before today that now I can choose? And start to be with that. Take some action. If it's selling some things, cool. If it's just asking the universe and being really present with things, cool. If it's posting something online, sending an email, letting people know what you have to offer, letting people know that you have this special going on, or that you are looking for new clients, or contacting 5 friends just to say, hey, I got this thing going on. Do you know anybody who'd be interested? Is often a great way to like engage with people. So what can you choose today to actualize the money that you're asking for right away? Okay, that was a lot. I will put this all in some kind of a thing like I have been. 1, 2, 3, 4 list for you. And I hope you have so much fun today. Find something else to bring you joy and actually take action on the money thing too. And have fun. Let whatever shows up in. Receive it. We tend to be like, oh, that's not a big deal. We don't acknowledge it or we don't receive it. So last thing I'll say is I got a text this morning. I've been redoing the room I do bars in at my practice. And there was these shelves and I was like, I don't know what to put on the shelves. And I bought like a plant yesterday for them and they still are missing some things. Like there was still blank space. And this other lady in my office who does not use this room at all was like, oh, I have some little plants that I think would work. And she said this like 2 weeks ago, forgot about it. I was like, yeah, okay. And I had no idea if they were going to work, what they looked like, whatever. She sent me a picture this morning and they're adorable and they look perfect on these shelves. And she's like, what do you think? And I was like, oh my God, that's so cool. And I didn't even think about it, but it probably saved me 20, 30 bucks by her giving me these little plants that she wasn't doing anything with. So how many things like that show up in your world all the time that you don't acknowledge? And if you did, how much more money could show up? So I will see you guys tomorrow for day 5. I hope you have an amazing day and I will see you then. Bye.